With the deadline just days away, the Toronto Raptors trade reports have been heating up as Woj has come out and broken down the situation regarding Bruce Brown, and we have some updates regarding Chris Boucher, Trent Jr., and Dennis Schroder. Specifically, Chris Boucher, extremely likely, almost guaranteed, he's going to be dealt ahead of this year's trade deadline. So we're going to dive into it all in this video, but before you do, folks, again, over 58% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and we want to keep you up to date with all of the latest Toronto Raptors news as we inch closer and closer to this year's trade deadline, where a lot of things are bound to happen for the Toronto Raptors. Things have already broken down, this team has already been dismantled, and now it's gonna happen further. So definitely subscribe to the Raptors Digest if you want to stay up to date with all of the latest Toronto Raptors news. But let's dive into what's going on, because the first thing we have to discuss is a little Woj bomb, a little Woj report, so to speak, coming out regarding the Toronto Raptors and Bruce Brown. Basically, the report came out and said that it's very likely that Bruce Brown will be traded from the Toronto Raptors this week, per Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. The Knicks and Lakers continue to be mentioned as the top contenders to acquire Bruce Brown. Now, is this super new news? No, but as you inch closer and closer to the deadline, you like to hear that things that have been, boiling up to the surface over the recent weeks, they're continue to there. Trade talks haven't fizzled out. Obviously, this is the time of year where trades actually end up getting done. Now, the Toronto Raptors were in a weird situation this season and made their huge sort of monumental trades weeks before the trade deadline, but all the minor stuff, all this stuff regarding Bruce Brown, Boucher, any players that are going to get dealt regarding the Toronto Raptors probably won't happen today, probably won't happen, until that deadline actually sort of hits, or the night of, or things like that. So, Bruce Brown, very likely to get traded. Again, completely makes sense in terms of the Toronto Raptors. He's a guy that's better apt to be on a proper contending team. He's a role player that helped win the Denver Nuggets an NBA championship last year. So the New York Knicks, who are a team that are looking to elevate themselves into championship contention. The LA Lakers, who are making a push back. They're looking a little bit better as of late. The old LA Lakers there, making a push in the Western Conference. They were already interested in Bruce Brown apparently this summer as well, as he was an unrestricted free agent from the Denver Nuggets. So they were hoping to bring him in during the summer, but that interest is there on both sides. Both of these players, both of these teams seem like the two very serious candidates to acquire Bruce Brown in terms of what we can get from both. I mean, the LA Lakers, there's not a lot that's super interesting in return. Rui Hachimura is a guy that's always caught my eye. He's a wing player that can score. He has some size out there, not a horrible defender, had some big moments in the playoffs last year. Maybe him getting back, and then maybe a future first would be cool. And then from the New York Knicks side of things, it would have to be draft capital and then probably Quentin Grimes in there. Quentin Grimes is frustrated with his role in the New York Knicks right now. It's likely a deal is going to happen regardless of if it's with the Toronto Raptors or not. So those deals could potentially go down, and then you could always look to the, Dallas Mavericks, who have some young pieces like Omax, you're not getting Lively, who is a player that would fit perfect with this Toronto Raptors team, but you're not getting him for Bruce Brown. I mean, Green is a player that could be a cool fit, but I'd expect if a deal to go down. My prediction is the New York Knicks, potentially the LA Lakers as well, but it's really going to be the New York Knicks, and it's probably going to be late at this year's trade deadline. Everyone's going to be stressing about why Bruce Brown is still on this roster, and it's not going to happen, but I think a deal will get done, as sort of Woj came out and said. The Raptors, we're going full out tank right now. We're breaking out this tank animation pretty well in every single video, so can't be tanking with a guy that's very valuable to be traded given his current contract situation and stuff like that. But let's dive into the other players, because it seems like Chris Boucher is definitely out the door, as a report has come out basically from Doug Smith that gave all the latest updates regarding the, not big players in the Toronto Raptors. Boucher, Trent Jr., and Dennis Schroder, and he had some interesting takes. And obviously, this is something that's pretty clear if you're watching the Toronto Raptors games. I'm not blaming you if you're not. I'm not blaming you if you're not watching a single Raptors game for the rest of the season. But definitely keep watching the old recaptions on the Raptors Digest. Mean the world to me. But Chris Boucher's been getting DNPs left, right, and center. Played a little bit of garbage time, in the game that just happened with New Orleans Pelicans. So that is what it is. But Chris Boucher is likely gone, even though has the hearts of a lot of Toronto Raptors fans. But Doug Smith basically said, don't expect really anything in return for Chris Boucher. He's a guy that has $11 million on his contract and is a piece that is getting DMPs to the Toronto Raptors. He doesn't have trade value out there right now. He's the extra 1-year, $11 million contract. So it might be something tradable. You might be able to sneak something beside you, Jerry, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get anything at all of value from Chris Boucher. Not even a second, it doesn't seem like. So that just sucks, but it is what it is. It sucks to see Chris Boucher move, but if he's not going to get played, you may as well get something for him. Get some type of contract in return. I wouldn't be giving up assets to give up Chris Boucher, but it is what it is. Maybe you can package him with other players, because other guys that were mentioned, in this is the star boy, Gary Trent Jr., and apparently his value is not that high either. He's an unrestricted free agent come this summer, but he does have a clear NBA skill. Over the month of January, shooting over 50% from behind the three-point line, putting up some ridiculous stats. So apparently teams would have interest in Gary Trent Jr., but not enough to give up serious value given the fact he's an unrestricted free agent this summer. But he does have that NBA skill. I mean, he's putting up some ridiculous sort of stats. Again, over the month of January, still 12 points per game, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 43% behind the three-point line this year, which is good, but he has regressed on the defensive end and finishing the basketball, and he's put all of his attributes into spacing that floor. So, if he's knocking down threes at that clip, again, I don't mind him being on the Toronto Raptors in the future, but it doesn't seem like the Toronto Raptors will get much value for him out there on the open market. But I think Masai Ujiri should be able to sell someone on a guy that's shooting 50% for the three-point line in a given month. I think someone's got to bite on that. Someone's going to look at that and be like, oh, he's a younger player. He's shown potential in the past. He's shooting at this elite clip. In a better situation, maybe he'll really break out for a team. Masai Ujiri's got to sell someone on that type of thing for Gary Trent Jr. So hopefully he's able to get a serious return for Gary out there on the trade market if a deal does end up going down. Apparently, Dennis Schroder is the guy that's really, Quickly's not getting traded, Barrett's not getting traded, and Scotty Barnes not getting traded. And I don't think Jakob Poeltl is either. So really the piece that apparently and Doug Smith sort of alluded to is the most trade value out there in terms of these guys, outside of Bruce Brown, of course, who we discussed already in this podcast, but it's Dennis Schroder, who, given his contract right now, 2 years, flexible, not super high money, $17 million, all that type of stuff. Apparently, he'd be a nice piece in terms of contenders being interested in bolstering their guard depth, pick up Dennis Schroder again. Given his contract, given how well he's performed this season, he's a guy that would fit a lot of teams that are currently buyers out there on the trade market. So it seems like deals are going to go down. The Lakers have been a team that have been linked to Dennis Schroder. The Celtics have been a team that's been linked to Chris Boucher. And Boucher himself, again, this year, stats aren't too hot. 6-4, shooting 32% from the three-point line, which is solid for a 6'9" guy. I mean, someone's got to bite on that, even though he's 31 years old. He has regressed definitely this season, definitely from his 2020-21 years over the past couple of years. But, it sucks to see, man. I'm going to be raw if Chris Boucher's gone. All ties to that championship roster will be out the door. But it is what it is. The Toronto Raptors are rebuilding right now, and the tanks are coming out left, right, and center on these vids. But let me know what you guys think about all these potential deals, potential moves. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all of the latest Toronto Raptors news. I'm signing out. Cheers.